Hey, what's going on everybody? Commander Crane here, and we are back with our very first Explorer deck tech, and today we're going to be talking about no rare Gruul Dinosaurs. So this is mostly meant for Magic Arena. Obviously, you can build this deck in paper if you'd like to, which we'll kind of get more to detail about that later on. I'll still keep the price guides below the cards, though, just in case you do end up wanting to build this in paper. But essentially, this deck is for people who maybe want to play some Gruul Dinosaurs, more specifically on Arena, obviously with Explorer, and you don't really have a lot of rare wild cards or mythic wild cards to spend, and you just want to play some dinosaurs, so this will be the perfect deck for you. Let me know in the comment section below, though, if you like this video. If you play Arena and you want to see more videos like this, just let me know in the comment section below. And huge shout out to New Super Steve Bros. They were the one that recommended I do a deck that doesn't really play any rares or mythics, and I got to thinking, I'm like, I should do a dinosaurs list. That would be really, really cool, because obviously we do a lot of dinosaur lists here on the channel, so I figured I would start with dinosaurs. And again, if people really, really like this content, we'll definitely do more of these in the very near future. So okay, let's go on hopping over here. So we need some one drops, obviously, and Land of Werewolves and Elvish Mystic are definitely our best options, especially at common. I mean, even if we weren't playing a common uncommon deck, we'd still be playing these. They're the one drop dorks. I can't really say enough good things about them. We're also playing 4 Commune with Dinosaurs. I'm a huge fan of this card. It's an Ancient Stirrings for Dinosaurs. Helps us dig 5 deep, puts the best dinosaur or land into our hand, which is great because if we're short on lands, we grab a land. If we need more threats, we grab a dinosaur. It's really simple and it's really, really powerful. Definitely a big fan of Commune with Dinosaurs. Next slide here, we have some of our, I would say still early drops. We're playing 2 Odapec Huntmaster. I was thinking about playing more of these, but I decided to just play 2 copies of it. The card is very, very strong, except, it's a turn 2 play. Realistically, it would be cool to go turn 1 Elf, turn 2 Odapec Huntmaster. That's a really good line of play, which is not completely unrealistic. But yes, definitely a big fan of Odapec Huntmaster, but I'm only playing 2 copies of it. But I'm playing 4 copies of Belligerent Yearling. I'm a huge fan of this card from Lost Caverns of Ixalan. Whenever we play a bigger dinosaur, we can have Belligerent Yearling's base power, copy that one until end of turn. So when we play our bigger dinosaurs that are like 4, 5, 6 power, Belligerent Yearling becomes bigger as well. So it's just a very, very strong card. Then we're also playing 4 Giant Cindermaw. So there was a few different cards that I could have played in our 3-drop slot. Spoiler alert, this is our only 3-drop we're playing in the deck. And, there was a lot of different ones. I could have played, I could have played like Thrashing Brontodon. I thought about playing Scytheclaw Raptor, but I ultimately decided to play Giant Cindermaw because I really like the stats. 43 for 3 trample. The players can't gain life is also very relevant a lot. If our opponent's playing Shieldred, for instance, they don't gain any life from their Shieldred. They don't gain life from like their Graveyard Trespassers. Really any life gain strategy, obviously, this card is fantastic against. So that's why I ultimately decided to play Giant Cindermaw. I'm a huge fan of the card in general. So next slide here is where we start getting into our beefy creatures. I'm playing 4 Colossal Dactyl. I'm a really big fan of this card, especially at uncommon. 4, 5 for 4 with reach and trample. It's just a really strong, solid card. I remember in the original Ixalan, the card that was at this rate was a 3, 4 for 4 with just reach. So then now we get obviously an extra power and toughness and trample on top of it. Again, there was a lot of different 4-drops we could have played, and I decided to play the 4 Colossal Dactyl, as well as 2 copies of Raging Regisaur. 4, 4 for 4. Whenever it attacks, it deals 1 damage to target creature or player, or in new terms, it deals it to any target. Again, I can't think of exactly what other 4-drops I could have played. I'm forgetting off the top of my head now, but these were the ones that I thought were the best, and I decided to play these as a result of that. Just because, the 1 damage, you can do 1 damage to a lot of different things, and it would be very, very relevant. We can pick off like elves, for instance. Again, like a lot of different things we could do with it, but ultimately just a big fan of Colossal Dactyl and Raging Regisaur. Then we're also playing 4 copies of Charging Monstrosaur. 5, 5 for 5 with Trample and Haste. Really simple, but yet very, very effective. Again, kind of the same thing with the 4-drops. There were a couple decent 5-drops that we could have played in the deck. I thought about playing a Raging Swordtooth, for instance, but it does kill our own elves, so it's not really that synergistic. But definitely a big fan of Charging Monster Sword. It's fast and it hits really, really hard. So a huge fan of Charging Monster Sword. All right, in our last slide here for our main board, we are playing one Earthshaker Dreadmaw. I wanted to fit this card into the deck. I originally was playing like 2 copies, but I decided to just play 1 because we still really are a lower to the ground aggro deck for the most part. But it's still really, really good. 6/6 for 6 with trample. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card for each other dinosaur you control. So late game, it's pretty realistic that we're going to draw 2, maybe 3 cards off of it. It's an extremely good rate. Definitely happy to be playing it in the deck. And then our main removal spell that we're playing is Triumphant Chomp. We're playing 4 copies of Triumphant Chomp. Deals damage to target creature equal to 2, or the greatest power among dinosaurs you control, whichever is greater. So that means if we have any of our nice 4 drops, or Earthshaker Dreadmaw in play, we're going to deal 4, 5, or even 6 damage, which is pretty sweet. So definitely a big fan of Triumphant Chomp. Obviously, as you've noticed, a lot of these cards are from the Lost Caverns of Ixalan, just because we got a lot of sweet Ixalan cards from the new set, so obviously we're going to be playing a ton of those. So if you like Lost Caverns of Ixalan, this is definitely a perfect deck for you to play. So we're going to go and hop into our lands here, which is really, really simple. It's pretty simple. We're playing 4 Game Trail and 4 Secluded Courtyard. So obviously if you play Paper, this card was not printed at Uncommon at all. But if you play Arena on Shadows over Innistrad Remastered, this card was printed as an Uncommon, which is huge for our wild cards. We don't have to spend rare wild cards on any of these lands, which is great. Obviously, Secluded Courtyard's great too. Choose a creature type, it enters untapped, and we can tap it for dinosaurs because we're pretty much always going to name dinosaurs with Secluded Courtyard. So it's just 8 great untapped dual lands for our deck. And then we are also playing 10 forests and 5 mountains. And as always, as the spicy basic land of the day, I decided to play the really cool M21 lands. I always really like the border. I don't play these as much as I probably should just because, they stand out a lot. I like my cards to kind of blend in a little bit, like I like the more traditional Magic frame typically, but, especially on Arena, like these are sweet lands. I'm definitely a big fan of the forest especially. I could definitely see some dinosaurs running through there for sure, just going through with a stampede, just really, really big fan of the artwork in general. So don't go anywhere there. We still have to talk about our sideboard as well as the upgrade guide specifically. I changed it up a little bit, at least compared to our normal list that we do here. So, okay, sideboarding is really simple. We're going to want some Graveyard Hate. Tormod's Crypt and Soul Guide Lantern are really good. Lantern of the Lost is also pretty fantastic because, there's a lot of rogues on Explorer, so it's able to get rid of our own graveyard, and then that way we don't die to all the rogues, for instance. We're definitely going to want some extra removal. Cards like Rending Volley, Lithomantic Barrage, and Abrade are all fantastic, and obviously are only common or uncommon wild cards, which is really good. We're definitely going to want some Damping Sphere as well. Mono Green Devotion is weakened a little bit with Karn being banned, but the deck is still really good, so I highly suggest playing Damping Sphere. And I didn't put it on here, but I also really like Weathered Runestone as well. It's also pretty good against the Mono Green decks. As well as we're going to want some Artifact and Enchantment Hate. A lot of it depends on what you're really running into. I personally recommend Atraxas Fall, just because you can also hit creatures with flying, which means you can bring it in against like Spirits or the Atraxa ramp decks, which is pretty solid. You can also even play cards like Broken Wings if you really want the instant speed, but personally, I recommend Atraxas Fall in that slot. And again, it's only a common wild card, and it's a fantastic sideboard card to be playing in the deck. So, last thing we have to talk about is the upgrade guide. So this is personally what I would do in order if you're looking to upgrade this deck. So the first thing, if you're looking to craft, rares and mythics, I highly suggest doing Marauding Raptor and Galta Primal Hunger first, just because they really make the engine or the deck hum, just because Marauding Raptor is the best card in Dinosaurs, at least on the lower curve decks. The card's really, really efficient. It's a mana dork that gets aggressive, so what's not to like? And then Galta, obviously, 12/12 Trample. We're going to play it for only 2, 3, 4 mana most of the time. And it's a 12/12 Trampler, so we're definitely going to be wanting to craft those as soon as possible. The next thing I would do is upgrade the 4-drops. I personally recommend cards like Ripjaw Raptor and Rampaging Raptor. I think those are the best 4-drops you can personally play. If you're running into a lot of blue decks, feel free to craft some Shifting Ceratops as well. But I think that's kind of more of a sideboard card, at least now. But still definitely very, very strong. And then the last thing I would do is craft dual lands and utility lands. That's like Boseiju, Sekenzan, Copperline Gorge, Stomping Ground, Cavern of Souls, Lair of the Hydra, that kind of thing. I think the lands are the lowest priority for the most part in the entire deck. I would personally start Marauding Raptor Galta, move into the 4-drops, as well as 5-drop. I also forgot to mention Regisaur Alpha. I would definitely craft that. Probably, honestly, step 1. I would probably do Marauding Raptor, Galta, then Regisaur Alpha. I think the card is just that strong. So that's personally what I would do. And the one thing I want to mention too with the upgrade guide is if you're looking for a paper video, I recently did a $20 budget dinosaurs for Pioneer, and the deck is stronger than this because it plays like rares and stuff like that. So the link to that video will be in the description below. I just made it as of recording this video. I made it about a week ago, so I highly recommend playing that version in paper, at least over the commons and uncommons. Obviously, if you want to play this in paper, the deck's still pretty solid. There's no reason you can't, but if you're just looking to, play a cheap deck, I highly recommend playing that one instead. So that takes us to the end of the video. I'd like to thank everybody for watching this video. It was definitely a very, very fun deck to build. Let me know in the comment section below if you want me to build more of these. Even if you're playing it for paper, you just want a common, uncommon deck, let me know if you have some really cool ideas below, and then I will highly consider that and maybe make a video of it in the very near future. So let me know what you think about the deck in the comment section below. I'm Commander Crane. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.